What did Solitaire know from the Goddess Monument arc ending that led to all of her contradictory statements and actions in the Golden Land arc, and how this may affect future storylines like in the Foundation Festival arc? I'm just gonna do a spoiler warning up to the Foundation Festival arc, but the focus of this video will be about Solitaire and how all the events in the Goddess Monument arc affected all of her decisions in the Golden Land arc. And so before we continue, it's another day in the Frieren Manga hiatus. Yamada Kanehito and Abe Tsukasa are sick in more ways than one, leaving all their beloved fans to ponder whether or not the great maid Serie Ashi no Megami will get yeeted or not. And the answer is clear. She will. When it comes to the Golden Land arc, irony and contradictions as it relates to Macht and Solitaire are quite abundant. Contradictions of Solitaire comes not only from a demon perspective, but from what she said herself. While demons are known to have certain characteristics, you are born you, with your own unique characteristics, just like how certain demons, and especially greater demons, possess magic unique to their being, like Aura the Guillotine with the scales of yeeting yourself, and like Macht with his via golds, transmuting almost any matter into gold, while being nothing like the typical gold we are all thinking of. Generally speaking, demons are individualistic creatures and could care less about their race being wiped out. But in the Goddess Monument arc, she does the Demon King's bidding. For her friend, we see Tot display what we would think most demons would do if it's not in their best interest and just bail on the mission because they can. Demons don't really have a sense of loyalty, a bond, as we know humans know it. Macht said it himself. He doesn't care that the Demon King died and has no feelings of revenge against humans for it. Nothing is more telling for how creatures treat their own, like how a demon treats children. Like in the Divine Revolte arc, where this child served Revolte, did her part in letting Ganal's guard down, who ultimately got yeeted by him. All Revolte had to say was, "Well done. Thank you for your trouble." A lack of appreciation for loyalty in the death of a demon child in any nature hits us humans right in the heartstrings, where it is built into our very DNA to protect and guide our young. As we know with Schlatt in Macht's flashback, that forceful authority is the way to make demons serve you, with Grossum being Macht's weakness to get him to fight the hero of the South. At this time in the past, Solitaire was down to help demon prosperity and work as a group. I will still acknowledge that Solitaire from an individual standpoint has something much to gain in still helping the Demon King. Examine what happened at the Goddess Monument arc, because tracking down future Frieren means stealing and gaining knowledge from the future. That includes magic advancement. On one hand, during the Goddess Monument arc, Solitaire is willing to put herself in danger in confronting the hero's party, albeit fighting from a hidden position, and also only taking action if it is self-serving. At the same time, it kinda doesn't make sense for Solitaire to help Macht at all. She even said it herself. She wanted to yeet Macht because coexistence almost led to their extinction. However, she ended up feeling scared of Macht, but for some reason believed that fighting Frieren was a good idea. Someone that she knew 100 years prior still existed 100 years in the future. If you break down Solitaire's character in isolation only in the Golden Land arc, what she says, her actions, and her coming out of nowhere to help Macht, it kinda doesn't make sense. But soon I will get to my biggest point, the biggest question, the ramifications of what happened at the end of the Goddess Monument arc. But first, remember when Solitaire first showed up to analyze the Great Barrier that the first iteration of the Continental Magic Association put up, that the Keeper of the Barrier has to adjust every so often as Macht's Dia Golds continually expands in its area. spoken with their own words, that Frieren is no doubt one of the few that can defeat him, but also says she doesn't believe that Macht can lose. That's what I'm saying. She says one thing that contradicts the other. So a demon that doesn't want to potentially die by Macht's hands to stop him from continually searching for human emotions for coexistence, that acknowledges that Frieren is strong enough to beat him, wants to put her life on the line against a formidable foe, changes her mind to help Macht fight to the death for coexistence. Once again, who is going to end up fighting someone like Frieren that has the potential to beat Macht, with both Frieren and I believe Fern acknowledging that the massive amount of mana they felt from Solitaire was similar to Macht's. So we have a scared demon that is all powerful, but still she won't put her life on the line if she knows if the risk is too high. All of a sudden, now she's curious enough to help Macht continue his search for coexistence, even though she herself doesn't believe it. But she still, for some reason, wants to see it happen, if it can happen. Now let's start tying this to what the biggest question with huge ramifications for all of Solitaire's decisions were in the Golden Land arc, and likely in the Foundation Festival arc, or even future arcs I vaguely keep referring to that happened at the end of the Goddess Monument arc that occurred 100 years prior. But before we do, remember Macht's flashback in chapter 103, Solitaire stated her position in this whole matter, went against her instincts to live individually and help Macht because she herself is interested to see if Macht can pull off his coexistence. After saying that she experienced and saw the Demon King do the same thing. In the end, she didn't stop Macht and was too scared, but was willing to put her life on the line in her first do or die battle to the death against the Demon Slayer, Frieren. What she said here ties in what happened in the Goddess Monument arc with one line. That's all I want you to know for now. So even before the fight began, she held back some information. And so what would that information be? Once again, recall that this flashback occurred after Solitaire got Fern from very, very, very far away. And Macht got with the element of surprise. This was the literal end, with Macht realizing he became the thing he always was, a demon that acted just like a demon, with no real development of human emotions in the very end. There were signs that he understood what romance was between Denken and Lecture, but this is no different from Macht's explanation that demons can understand human emotions and how they are observed, but he can't actually feel those emotions. Revolte also observed human behavior in this way. It was a literal end, with Solitaire basically leaving us with a cliffhanger that ties into the Goddess Monument arc cliffhanger in the next major arc. A quick refresh, and I guess one more spoiler warning for non-Goddess Monument arc readers. Frieren traveled to the past by mistake by touching an enchanted Goddess Monument and saying some fancy words, warping her back in time in the middle of the hero's party's journey. Ultimately, the Demon King was suspicious that someone came back 100 years from the future, and that person was none other than Frieren. And so the Demon King sent 4 greater demons to investigate. Tot, the Saint of the End, Grossum, the Miraculous, Revale, the Bloody God of War, the strongest demon warrior, and a stark backstory. And then there was Solitaire, the nameless great demon, because ain't nobody ever survived to tell the tale of this wimpy maniac demon. What do the demons want? Frieren's knowledge of the future, which naturally includes key important events in the advancement of magic. It is one where Frieren is hesitant to show off anything that has yet to be known in the past, like flight magic and booming the crap out of Zart. Remember the Golden Land arc fights with Frieren versus Solitaire and Denken versus Macht. Demons, and especially greater demons, are magical geniuses that adapt to magic at a very fast rate. The examples being Fern's dense Zoltrak, and fast pew pews, where Denken applied what Frieren said during the first class mage exam. At some point, Grom, the demon whose expertise is in hypnosis magic, Frieren and Himmel were put to sleep, in deep, deep sleep, in a deep dream that shows what they are happy with most.
Do you feel your sword?
I feel my fake sword. Two questions pop up immediately after as the fight concluded, where Himmel fought blind, while Frieren was still stuck in the hypnosis. Slashing Grom, it woke everyone up, and Grom was forced to do something to escape that Kanehito purposefully didn't show. And the most intriguing question of it all is that Grom did learn something from Frieren, in which we can assume he told Solitaire when she asked. What was it that Grom learned that led to every contradictory statement and action Solitaire took during the Golden Land arc, where she clearly could have survived, continued with her own experiments, and remained the nameless demon? I think we have to go with the obvious, because the obvious is its own mystery. In the end, that I think ties in what ultimately could happen 1,000 years into the future. Grom saw the Demon King's death. That is what I believe Grom told Solitaire, and it is one that makes the most sense to me and would be the first option to speculate on. What happened during the Heroes Party's battle against the Demon King, while they struggled mightily against the likes of Bulls the Immortal or the Guillotine, and Qual the Elder Sage of Corruption? Something doesn't add up here. But with Schlatt the Omniscient as the Demon King's right-hand man that kinda sees visions 1,000 years into the future, it's clear to me that they already know what they need to try to do in order to survive as a species, as a race, and why the Demon King was so adamant himself about developing human emotions to coexist with humans, just like Macht. It's the spark that the last remaining demons left need in order to realize that they need to evolve or unlock something they may or may not have, as evolutionary science is truly complicated. It's something that maybe one day Kanehito will deliver to us the answer to that question 1,000 years into the future of the story. All these actions, decisions, and motivations may lead to a demon revival or an evolutionary advancement that changes demons. It is something the Demon King, Macht, and even Solitaire is curious about, even though she herself doesn't believe it is possible. As human beings, there are many ways we have changed in the past 1,000 years to adapt to modern times. The demons, 1,000 years might just be one lifetime. But here's the caveat to my non-science evolutionary expertise. Just as the Demon King taught convergent evolution to Solitaire, who ended up teaching the same thing to Macht, going extinct may unlock the pressure needed in helping their race speed up evolution to adapt to this new environment, where it is the age of humans. Humans are ruling the world currently, and like what we know about the plot in the Foundation Festival arc, it is humans on human violence, which ultimately will lead us to some lore behind the Southern Lands Wars. That is the entire thesis of this whole Golden Land storyline. Macht, developing human emotions like malice and guilt, will lead demons to coexist with humans. Solitaire doesn't believe there is such an outcome because it had already led them to near demon extinction during the Demon King's reign. But she followed her curiosity of fighting to the death for coexistence that led her to her eventual end, something previously she would never do. Both of them fail in their experiments. It is very clear by the end that Macht, when faced with his mortality, was every bit of a stereotypical demon to the very end. Solitaire matched the magical intellect of a human, like in taking down the Great Barrier that even great mages help put up. But still, she could never fathom human emotions. Was that the end of the road for demons? Or was that the beginning of demons in their will of survival to try to become something that there currently are not. Now let me tie this back exactly to what Solitaire told Macht once again in chapter 103. Macht straight up told Solitaire to just yeet him, and she thought coexistence was a pipe dream, instead of following through with that because she too would be facing an opponent that could yeet her. It is because Macht reminded her of the Demon King, her friend, and potentially learning something from Grom in the past about the Demon King's death and how it actually played out. So Solitaire telling Macht that that is all I want you to know for now may very well be Solitaire allowing the natural process of his curiosity play out. It's that will to obtain human emotions that is needed, and for the survival instincts to kick in that may unlock something that demons could obtain that could lead to demon survival, like coexistence. That demon thirst for coexistence will eventually save them or end the demon race. And so Solitaire, being a human experimenting enthusiast intellect, would naturally want to see if something impossible can become possible. So yeah guys, let me know what you guys thought about Solitaire's position in the Golden Land arc and how the elements in the Goddess Monument arc affected her then. Because whatever Grom told Solitaire, it definitely had an effect on all of her decisions in the future. So yeah guys, I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video.